Hello and welcome to 3 Secrets to Score a 5 in AP Biology as a grade 9 to 12 student. My name is Emily and I'm the biology expert here at Master Your Courses. Now, who is this course for? This course is going to be for parents of AP Biology students who want their child to achieve a 5 on their final. It's also going to be for parents who are looking for a clear and actionable plan to help their child stay motivated and to enjoy learning AP Biology as well as their future STEM courses. And of course, this is going to be for students who are prepared to invest their time, energy, and effort to secure at least a 4 on their final AP Biology exam. Now, I have a couple goals for this masterclass, the first being it allows us to preview the AP Biology course. Now, this is a very long and content-heavy course, so by doing these masterclasses, it allows students to strengthen their understanding of those fundamental concepts, as well as deepen their understanding of the curriculum as a whole. My second goal for this masterclass is to give you my secrets and tips to scoring a 5 in AP Biology. As someone who recently finished advanced biology and scored quite well, I feel I have a good understanding of which concepts are tested more frequently, as well as the depth of knowledge that you need to know for your final. In addition, since this is such a content-heavy course, I've developed good techniques for memorization as well as strategies to tackle such a vast amount of content. My final goal for this masterclass is to ensure lots of exam preparation and practice. The AP Biology exam has a very strict way of asking questions as well as what answers they accept. So by doing lots of practice exams and going over different AP exam questions, we're going to be able to develop techniques for getting the maximum marks out of our answers. Now, here are some testimonials from past clients that have used our masterclasses and have positive results. Farhana up top says, my 10th grader was struggling with math and chemistry. I found Master Your Courses. They've been a wonderful online platform. All the tutors are knowledgeable and experienced. We'll definitely plan to keep working. Below, Parsadi says, I recommend this course to any high schooler. Masood is very soft-spoken and sincere, dedicated, and consistent with his teachings. He tries to understand the problems behind the grades and creates one-to-one strategies to fix them. The bright and young mentors also add a plus to deal with teens. Personally, I feel he works hard with the student too. Recommend Master Your Courses teachers. Everyone is very motivated to host effective classes for your kids. This next one below it is talking to Dr. Sherry from our biology department. It says, I hope you are doing well and have a fun summer. I got a 5 on my AP Biology, so I'm very happy about that. Thank you for all your help. I would not have been able to earn a 5 without it. Our final testimonial here on the right says, Hi Masood, I just wanted to let you know that Miss Emily and Dr. Sherry helped me a lot and I was able to do the corrections as well as get better understanding of the concepts that were being taught, which led me to improve my biology score from a C to an A since starting working together. Now, many students and parents may be wondering why AP Biology. The first reason is for college admission. It improves your chances of being admitted to selective colleges and universities if you can show that you have flourished with an advanced course. The second is scholarships. So there is good eligibility for scholarships offered to students who can excel in AP Biology courses. The next one is college credits. So since it is an advanced course, you can earn credits for college level biology courses, meaning you won't have to take first year biology, which then saves you time and money. The next benefit is it helps develop critical thinking skills for college and future jobs, as well as improve problem-solving skills applicable to a wide range of careers. We'll see this especially with our application problems and our analysis of experimental data. It'll help develop really crucial skills that are going to be applicable to a lot of future careers and endeavors. Finally, it'll help improve understanding of our world, so you'll be able to gain a deeper understanding of the natural world and important biological processes. Now I will be introducing you to the members of our team who will be working directly with the students. This is our CEO and founder of Master Your Courses, Masood. He has 12 years of experience teaching physics and has helped thousands of students boost their grades and get into their dream colleges. He did a double major in chemical engineering and physics and a master's degree in quantum computing for the University of Calgary. In his academic career, he's published several papers in peer-reviewed journals and presented at multiple conferences, as well as been a part of million-dollar projects such as Quantum Alberta. This is our academic consultant and scholarship expert, Dr. Puri. He's a faculty member at the University of Calgary and has over 10 years of experience teaching mathematics, engineering, and business to help thousands of students boost their grades, and he also has a 4.8 on Rate My Professor. He won the UBC Kellam Graduate Teaching Award in 2022, as well as the Shelby L. Bermel Memorial Graduate Scholarship in 2019 and 2022. He holds a PhD in business at the Sauder School of Business from the University of British Columbia, as well as a master's in chemical engineering from the University of British Columbia. This is Dr. Sherry Satter. She's the head of the science department at Master Year Courses, as well as our AP Biology expert and academic consultant. She is currently a dental student at the University of British Columbia and holds a master's in biomedical engineering, also from the University of British Columbia. She has over 8 years of experience in bio-related topics such as biology, biochemistry, and immunology, as well as other engineering-related topics such as math, physics, and statistics. She's also taken the DAT and scored in the 99th percentile. And this is myself. My name is Emily, and I am the AP Biology expert here at Master Year Courses. I recently received my undergraduate degree from Queen's University in biotechnology with a 4.0. I'm currently getting my Master's of Science at Johns Hopkins University, studying also biotechnology. In high school, I completed a higher level IB biology where I scored in the 95th percentile, as well as I have over 5 years of experience teaching. In my professional life, I've worked as a researcher at top cancer research institutions, as well as many biotechnology companies. Now, it's no secret that AP Biology is a difficult course for students. If we look at this grade distribution, we see that only 12% of students actually achieve a 5. It's going to be our goal to get your child into that 12% by using our pillar approach. Now, a common mistake students tend to make when learning AP Biology is attempting to do it alone. So here at Master Year Courses, we try and make a welcoming, safe community where students feel welcomed to talk to other students as well as their teachers. This helps deepen their understanding of the concepts because they feel more comfortable in the environment to ask questions as well as bounce ideas off of one another. Now, another issue that students tend to run into is they lack a strong foundation. Many AP Biology courses will assume that students have a strong foundation in chemistry, anatomy, and basic biological concepts, but that's not always the case. Especially with AP Biology students that aren't also taking AP Chemistry, the beginning can be quite difficult as they're assuming that you know quite a bit about chemistry. So I like to start my master classes at Unit 1 with developing those intro to chemistry techniques, understanding the key concepts, as well as the key fundamental terms, so that when we move on to the rest of the biology units, you can understand it in the context and gain that deeper understanding. If you don't have a strong foundation, it often leads to feelings of being overwhelmed and difficulty applying those principles correctly because you don't have that strong foundation to begin with, much like building a house without a strong foundation. Students also tend to run into issues if they're relying exclusively on online courses. If you don't have that personalized teacher, you're going to lack that sense of interaction, hands-on experience, and personalized feedback. So if I personally see that you're struggling with a certain concept, I'll give you more questions to do. I'll go over it again to ensure that you have a very personalized plan for your learning. As well with online courses, it's quite difficult to stay motivated because you're working at your own pace. When you're working with other students and you have a teacher, you're going to be able to stay motivated and stay on top of your learning goals. As well with online courses, you get very limited practice with application questions. So application questions are going to be worth a lot of marks on that AP final exam, and it takes a lot of time to get your brain used to how to answer the questions and how to analyze them. So that's something that we go over extensively together so that you can get those maximum marks on your final for those application questions. The final mistake we see students tend to make is they have an incorrect learning approach. Biology is a very interesting subject in terms of the way that it's studied. It's less about calculation problems and practice and more about understanding the concepts as a whole. So we see students focus a lot on memorization and not actual understanding. Of course, there is an aspect of memorization to biology, but a lot of students will just memorize the key term and then the definition and not understand how all the terms work together as a whole system. We also see students getting overwhelmed by the amount of content. They'll look at the length of the chapters and get rather overwhelmed. But if you go through it all and you look at it all in the context of an entire system and how they're intertwined together, you're going to be able to learn a lot more and have a deeper understanding without memorization. Another issue we see is students not practicing enough. So there are going to be practice problems for this, despite it being a lot more content heavy, but you need to be able to understand what questions they're asking, if they're going to be application problems or analyzing experimental data, and this will help you ultimately with your final exam. Again, we also see students not seeking help when needed. Students tend to get shy or overwhelmed when wanting to ask questions to clarify certain subjects, but that's what we're here for. We're here to help with your understanding and to help you where you're needed. Another thing we see is procrastinating. So because of the overwhelming length of possible reading and content, students tend to procrastinate, which is the number one thing I recommend that they do not do for biology, because the way that the units are organized, you're going to see that they all build off of one another. So if you're not understanding Chapter 3, you're not going to understand Chapter 4, and so on and so forth. So there's really no skipping or procrastinating with biology because everything's going to build off one another and make sense as the entire whole. Another one is going to be students that aren't able to break down complex problems. So a lot of the times these big concepts, when we look at systems like photosynthesis and metabolism, can be really scary and overwhelming, but when you kind of break them down into their more individual, simple units, it's going to really deepen your understanding. And then finally, learning without understanding prerequisite concepts. Like I said again, all our concepts are going to build off one another. Our first unit is going to be for chemistry, and then we're going to get into the cell. After the cell, we're going to get into specific processes of the cell, and all of those require understanding of the concepts beforehand. So I don't like to skip forward on things. I don't like to procrastinate. I want you to learn it as it's taught so that you can get the full understanding. And then in the end, everything will kind of come together. Instead of having separate units, it'll all be in a continuum. Now I'll be going over the AP exam. The format is the same every single year. You're going to get 3 types of questions that I'll go over. The first being conceptual questions, the second being experimental application questions, and the third being long answer written questions. And this table right here is going to show you the breakdown that is the same for all the AP biology exams. There's going to be 2 sections. The first one being multiple choice questions. You're going to get 60 multiple choice questions, a time limit of 90 minutes, and this is going to be worth half the exam. The second section is going to be the free response, so those long answer written questions. You're going to get 6 questions of those. They're usually in multiple parts with multiple marks. You're going to get 90 minutes to complete this as well, and this is going to be the other half of your mark. Now I'm going to go over the different types of questions because they will have different techniques and ways to analyze and answer them that we're going to continue to practice throughout this entire course. The first one, being the simplest ones, are conceptual questions. This is going to be mostly memorization of key terms and basic fundamental concepts. Because there's so much content, a couple of the questions will just be asking you about basic key terms, and it'll likely be in more of a multiple choice setting. So these are examples of conceptual questions that you may get. As we can see, they're really only going to be for multiple choice questions, so that first part of the exam. We see that this question 5 right here is asking which metabolic pathway is common to both fermentation and cellular respiration of a glucose molecule. So that's a very basic question. It's not asking for any sort of analysis of experiments or any sort of application of any sort of concept. It's just asking you basically which one is it. And same with number 6, this is a definition question. It's asking you blank are extremely important to plant cells for the regulation of water and water pressure. So you will get a couple questions like this. If you know all your content, they should be pretty easy. There's no tricks involved in these, and these are more so just making sure that you have gone through all the content. The next type of question is our experimental application questions, and these tend to be very difficult for students and ones that we focus on quite a bit. They're going to be within the mix of multiple choice questions and our long answer questions, and they tend to give long background details explaining the outline of an experiment, and they typically ask you to analyze the data. So students will see multiple paragraphs of explanation of experiments for organisms that they don't recognize or types of tests that they don't recognize, and they tend to get overwhelmed. But what we're going to do is going to go through a bunch of them and be able to pick out the important bits to be able to analyze these questions, because at the end of the day, a lot of them are going to be asking very simple questions but hidden within a lot of background detail. So this is a relatively shorter one. Sometimes they're multiple paragraphs long, but this is just a short example. This says, a scientist grew chlorella, a single-celled photosynthetic algae, for 3 weeks in a laboratory culture. The culture medium contained dissolved carbon dioxide and other nutrients. At the beginning and end of a 3-week period, the scientist measured the rate of synthesis for certain biological molecules. The results are shown in the following graph. So students may get overwhelmed. They don't know what a chlorella is, but in the context of this question, it's really not important. This is looking at the synthesis of proteins, nucleic acids, lipids, and carbohydrates, which is part of Unit 2. And then also they may get overwhelmed by having to analyze graphs, but that's something that we go over with a lot of our questions, so you get very comfortable with looking at trends of the graph. The actual question is asking, based on the experimental results, so to analyze the graph, which of the following is most likely true about the chlorella culture medium? then again, students may really fixate on, I don't know anything about what chlorellas are, but again, that doesn't really matter in the context of the question. You really just need to know your knowledge of the synthesis of your macromolecules, which is taught. Our final type of question that we're going to see is going to be our long answer written problems. So we saw with our exam breakdown that this is going to be the second half of the exam, usually about 6 questions, and they're always going to be multi-part questions as well as incorporate knowledge from multiple units, which is again why it's important to understand how all the concepts are sort of intertwined together and learn them on a continuum so that when you have questions that incorporate multiple units, you're able to connect those dots and answer those questions. For these ones, it's important to understand the marking scheme and what the question is asking to get the maximum points. So a lot of the times we'll use different terms like define, describe, list, outline. So you have to know what they're asking for those and how many marks a question like that is going to be so that you can answer it and get those full marks. And a lot of the times with these questions, they're a little bit more open-ended, so there's going to be multiple ways to answer. And so practice is the best for these questions. I have lots of example ones as well as the corresponding marking scheme so we can see how they're going to mark. A lot of the times they'll have a bunch of acceptable answers, but you have to be able to hit those key points. They won't listen to a whole explanation of something. They just want to see those key words and then they'll give you that check mark. So understanding what the question is asking as well as how many points for each question is going to be really important to get those maximum marks. Now, an example would be something like this. This is a rather longer question. Sometimes they'll give you figures or graphs, and they'll ask you multi-part questions for this. So this one is looking at acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter that can activate an action potential in a postsynaptic neuron seen in figures 1 and 2. Figure 1 is looking at an actual diagram of this process, and figure 2 is looking at the model of a typical action potential. And again, we see this is going to be more of an experimental analysis problem because it says a researcher is investigating the effect of a particular neurotoxin that causes the amount of acetylcholine released from the presynaptic neurons to increase. We see a part A here and a part B here. Usually they're about 10 to 12 marks worth of questions. The first one is asking you to describe the effect of a neurotoxin. And the second one is asking you to look at the difference between figure A and figure B and predict an effective model. So we see that there's going to be multiple parts to this question and it's going to incorporate other units. Now I'm going to share with you how you can prepare for AP Biology. We have a multi-pillar approach here at Master Your Courses, the first pillar being foundation. Like I talked about earlier, you can't have a house without a strong foundation, so our job is to provide a clear explanation of all the core concepts and provide problem-solving strategies so that your child can learn the key points and fundamental concepts of AP Biology. We also like to ensure that students understand each unit before proceeding to the next one, so it's important also not to rush through those concepts. Every couple of slides, I like to go and do a multiple choice question, a poll, to make sure that the students are understanding, as well as stopping every slide to ask if there are any questions about the content. After every unit, I like to give a quiz or a test given to the students without my help to make sure that they're understanding all the concepts before moving on to the next unit. The next pillar we provide is the right type of support. Here at Master Your Courses, we give an individualized attention approach, so I'll be working directly with the students, which allows me to understand their strengths, their weaknesses, their habits, and what they're struggling with, and that allows me to give a personalized teaching approach to help them attain that 5. In addition, I'm always open for clarifying complex concepts, so I'm always open to asking questions and working with you to really understand those fundamental concepts. I also provide a vast amount of resources and materials, everything from study guides to question packets to practice tests and diagrams, as well as annotated slides for them to ensure that they have enough material to give a full understanding of the content. I also like to provide mentorship. I'm someone that recently went through AP Biology. I understand that it's a very hard course to get through, and as well as I have some key insight into the best way to tackle a difficult course like this. And I also like to always provide encouragement and motivation to the students to make sure that they're learning in a positive environment. The next key aspect for learning AP Biology is going to be practice. Practice allows us to reinforce our knowledge and develop problem-solving skills. A lot of the times AP biology exams ask questions in very specific ways and have very specific marking schemes. So being able to practice and go through different questions and analyze patterns and get used to the way that they're asking questions will really help you when you come to your exam to feel more comfortable. It also helps identify areas of weakness. I like to ask questions to see where you're struggling, and then we'll go through and study it again and then ask more questions just to ensure that you really understand all the concepts. As well, practice helps build confidence. You may feel unsure about a certain topic, but when you go through the questions and you're able to answer them, it'll build up confidence and help you proceed to the next topics. As well as it provides familiarity with the exam format, which is very important. It's, again, very specific, and this will really help us get the maximum marks on that AP exam. Here is the cover for the AP Biology Study Guide that I have made here at Master Your Courses. It's going to be your complete guide to getting your 5 on AP Biology. I've made it all myself. I went through the textbook as well as all the key concepts that you need to know for your final. The way it's structured is it has each unit. I have all my personalized study notes with diagrams and all the key concepts highlighted, as well as after every unit. There's going to be 30 to 40 multiple choice and long answer questions to test your knowledge. At the end of all of the 8 units, there's going to be a mock AP exam with the exact same format and level of questions that you should expect to see on your exam. After you go through the booklet, the final exam should be a really good test to see how you're doing. And so this AP Biology Study Guide is going to encapsulate everything that you need to know from your textbook and everything that will help you get a 5 on your final. Now I'm just going to quickly recap all the things that we went over for this presentation. The first being we need to build a strong foundation for our students, making sure they understand the key concepts as well as the foundational knowledge that all of our concepts build off of. Next, we talked about the right type of support, so providing individualized approaches to learning and really understanding our students' needs and what they can focus on to make their grades improve. Next, of course, is practice. We're going to go through lots of practice problems and really understanding the marking scheme of an AP exam so that you can maximize your results. This graphic shows how our master classes are going to work. So here we see our foundation is going to be 2 live sessions per week with myself, where I'll be going through key concepts and explaining the chapter to you. These will also be recorded so that you can always go back to them if you're struggling with a concept and watch the explanation back again. I also provide note summaries on all the chapters, which are going to be in the book, so that you can also have compiled notes of all the important details. For our support mechanisms, I'll also be holding live office hours where you can join and ask me questions, clarify things, and really just deepen your knowledge of the course. There's also going to be community support, so you can always reach out to me via our chat or to other students if you're struggling with a concept. As well as we also provide group learning, so that allows you to bounce ideas off of each other as well as ask other students how they're doing and what they're struggling with to sort of create that group learning environment. And finally, we have learning by example. So I'll be providing video solutions for our AP questions. So a lot of the questions in the book, I'll be going through the solutions so you can get a full understanding of why that answer is the answer, as well as our mock AP tests, like the ones at the end of our chapters that are going to provide all the questions, as well as AP mock exams to get you prepared for your final. I'm going to finish this presentation by reading a couple more testimonials from people that have had positive experiences with our program. This top one says, "You guys have an amazing skill set as teachers. Your teaching methods for math makes understanding and solving math easy. I was never very good at math because I didn't understand it and thought I couldn't. It has taken 4 months and I'm amazed how I am able to understand and solve questions on my own. It is self-empowering to overcome these deficiencies. Thank you for your patience and for your continuous encouragement." The next one says, "I highly recommend Master Your Courses. Very friendly staff, very fast responses. Smith was one of the tutors that helped me a lot with my work. Thank you so much for everyone for this amazing opportunity to get help and learn better." This final one says, "My 10th grader was struggling with math and chemistry. I found Master Your Courses. They've been a wonderful online platform. All the tutors are knowledgeable and experienced. We'll definitely plan to keep on working." If you enjoyed this presentation and you are looking to be part of our program, we encourage you to book your free grade boost session where you get to talk with one of our experts about what you're struggling with in school and what you plan on learning, and we'll set you up with an individualized plan to get you started and help you earn that 5 in biology.